before that time when I got to the pub.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our pre-match press conference to preview our game against Nottingham Forest. We'll start off with Alan at Sky.
Morning, David.
Hi, Alan.
Here we go again against another top side. You've had Arsenal, Liverpool fared reasonably well. How do you feel about your side's progress against these sides?
Well, I saw it as a challenge when we saw this group of games, I'm saying, against all the teams here in the top area of the league. So it's been good. I think we've acquitted ourselves really well. Would like to get a bit more points if we can, but I think when you're playing the top teams at this time of the season, it's always difficult. They're desperate for the points. So we go to Nottingham Forest, who've had a great season, are having a great season, and we're going to have to play well.
Have they surprised you and their style of play and in the way that they've made their way into the top 4 or 5?
I think they surprised me from where their position was last year. I have to say Nuno's done an incredible job. I've got no real interest in their style. Football has to be played in many different ways, and if we're only going to play football in one way, then I think it'll be boring. So I think it's great that we have different types and we see different teams playing different ways. I think Nottingham Forest have had an incredible season, and great credit to them. They've got a great crowd down there, and it's always been an incredibly sort of famous football club because of Brian Clough and their great years in Europe.
Do you see him as a candidate for Manager of the Year? Invariably, it goes to the title winners, but given the job that he has done, you mentioned where they were last season.
Yeah, well, if you're going to be Manager of the Year, then it's more to do with the resources you've got as well. Doesn't always go to the people who win it with the biggest resources, the biggest clubs. And I think from Nottingham Forest's position of last season to where they are now, I think they would have to put Nuno in a strong position to get one of those votes, yeah.
And just on this run of games, I think if we went back a couple of months, the fans might have been looking at these with a bit of trepidation, but I think they're looking forward now to the fact that you can test yourselves against these top clubs. Is that the way you see it as well?
Yeah, I do. I really think that. I think it's a challenge to our players as well to see, where we want to try and be next season. And I think our form over the sort of the last couple of months really has been as good as most teams. So we want to keep that up. We know that we've got to try and turn some of our draws into wins if we can. But a lot of our draws this season so far have been against a lot of good teams. So we go up against another good team away from home, we'll have to be hard to play against and hard to beat, and try and do a good job on Forest.
Well, if you can't win a game, don't lose it might be the mantra. I think some of the pessimistic Evertonians might be saying you haven't won in 6 games, but drawn in 5 is not bad.
Well, I've got to say, I don't think there's too many pessimistic Evertonians at this moment in time.
That's true. You're getting close to a fully fit squad as well. Any progress on Dominic Calvert Lewin? And
yeah, Dom's out in the grass and he's training well. I think because it's been a hamstring injury, it's not the sort of thing that we can say, hey, we can speed it up greatly and bring him back. I think we're trying to follow all the protocols with it and, try not to bring him back too quickly. But we're sort of roughly thinking, I think we've got about another 3 weeks on Dom before we're even probably talking about probably him getting back into, I don't know about full-time training or actually games yet, I'm not sure, but we'll certainly think we've got another 3 weeks before we can start mentioning him.
Dwight McNeil, good to see him back on the pitch last week, but you were missing a few with Jasper Lindstrom and Mykolenko. Any news on?
Well, unfortunately, Jesper's had a hernia operation yesterday, so that'll rule Jesper out probably for most of the season now. So that's disappointing for him and for us because he'd started to show some decent form in the last month or so as well, and he was an important player for us. So Jesper out. We've got Miko back in the grass training. Dwight's back, still trying to get them up to speed, but certainly in and around things.
Just looking further ahead, mentioned the end of the season there. A lot of players out of contract, David, at the end of the season, and you've got loan players with those going to a close as well. Is there a lot of planning going on in terms of recruitment over the summer months?
Yeah, we've started to look forward. No, we're first and foremost the job's to make sure that we're a Premier League club. So if we weren't, then obviously things would be completely different. But I believe now that we've probably got enough points to be a Premier League club. Mathematically, that isn't completely correct, but we are starting to plan, starting to look forward. We'll talk about the players' contracts probably when we are mathematically safe, because then at least we can start to understand exactly what the finances will look like. So hopefully in a week or two's time we'll be able to start looking at players' contracts and what we're going to do.
And do you think there might be some difficulty in trying to hold on to the likes of Jarrad Branthwaite? Good players will always be linked with moves away, I suppose, especially good young players as well.
Yeah, but you have to remember Jarrad Branthwaite's got a 3-year contract left. He's got 2 years and a year's option. So, if anything, Everton hold all the cards regarding that player if you're mentioning him. But I have to also say, over the journey I've had it over many years at Everton, we've had to sell different players, from Wayne Rooney to Mikel Arteta, to Joe Lescott. Part of being a football manager, especially at certain clubs, you have to sell on the journey to try and build as well. But I wouldn't think that Jarrad's one of the players that I would want to lose, that's for sure.
Just finally from me, have you been to Bramley-Moore Dock this week?
No, I've not. I've not had the chance. I've been busy this week, so it's not allowed me the chance to get down. But hopefully in the next week or so, I'll get myself down and have a look.
And by that time, hopefully, it will be categoric that you'll be a Premier League side.
Well, we hope so. I don't know if we can do it by next week or not. I don't know if that's the case, but we're certainly closing in on it anyway.
Well, good luck for the weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alan. We'll go to Simon at Premier League Productions.
So are you waiting for those magical mathematical...
Yes, we are. We're waiting on those numbers to make sure that... And I think to be fair, the owners as well, they're sort of wanting us to make sure that those... Because it does change dramatically, maybe the level of players you're looking at, maybe the players you're keeping, wages, etc. you pay if you were in the Premier League or if you weren't.
But in terms of visiting the stadium, is that more of a superstition thing?
No, I don't want to use it as a superstition. I just didn't want it to get in the way of my work, what I'm doing here just now. I think there's so much big excitement about moving to the new stadium. I only really want to do it if we're a Premier League club. If we weren't, I would be sort of saying, oh my goodness, it's not going to be the same. So I do believe that we will be a Premier League club in a new stadium, or in the new stadium. So I'll get there hopefully this week sometime.
You talked about the run of results recently. The Arsenal draw probably seems even better now, given what they did against Real Madrid as well. But all that positivity that's still around here, is that a sign of how far this club has come in such a short space of time, but how far they've still got to go? I think
it's really positive that the players what are here at the club here are competing against Arsenal and Liverpool and giving them good games. Winning at Brighton, for example, over recent weeks. I think in the early part of the season, I don't think MD would have seen the group of players here probably ready to do that or getting a result. I think recently the players have stepped up greatly, showing great resolve as well, resilience in a lot of the games. Our job, we're talking about Nottingham Forest and how they play, and maybe different from maybe a lot of other teams in getting great success. So we have to find a sort of niche for us to get ourselves results, and in recent weeks and months we've been doing quite well.
And just one more from me, if I may. You talked about Dwight coming in his first appearance since December. Tim and Nathan, I think that was their first start since you've arrived as well. What have you been able to learn about not just them but also your squad recently as well?
Well, part of the reason I wanted to see Tim, I wanted to get Tim a start last week. I've been trying to get Pato opportunities where I think that, and it happened because of an injury for Pato and he had to play out of position. I'm the same, that there's 2 or 3 others I want to try and get some more playing time. So while we're in this position, it gives me a chance maybe to look to change the team. We might do so tomorrow as well. And we'll see if we want to try and have a look at 1 or 2 others as well.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Simon. We'll go to Ian at Radio Merseyside.
Hi, David.
Hi there.
It's an away game, obviously. Since you came back to the club, the away form has been pretty good. Obviously, a lot of focus on the new stadium next season, but how important will it be away from home to continue that development of results, if you like, so that you can make the next step?
Yeah, when you think of we've been to Palace and got a result, and Brighton to get results as well. At the moment, Brentford, we've done relatively well away from home. So we're on the road again. I think I said we're at one of the top teams in the country at the moment. Nottingham Forest playing very well, and tough game for us, but again, we'll go there and see how we can do. But again, I do think you're right what you're saying. Is I think home form's always hugely important for most teams. Know that you get your most of your wins at home, but I think that you need to pick up wins on the road as well. And if we could pick up another couple before the end of the season, that would be nice. And
in terms of what Forest have done this season, does that give you and maybe other clubs a bit of hope in terms of what can be done in a short space of time, actually, to go from one end of the table to the other?
Well, I think that we done it at West Ham. We were fighting relegation the following year. We went on to be in Europe. We didn't qualify for the Champions League, which it looks like Nottingham Forest have got a great chance of doing. So great credit to them, because it's a big jump. And let's be fair, they had a period, I think the last 2 seasons of maybe just about surviving and keeping themselves up and thinking that everything they were doing was wrong. Now looking at it, they've done an awful lot of good things, good recruitment, good signings, and sort of brought their club back to life. So I think it gives everybody hope that in the Premier League, there is a little bit of a chance. We're seeing some other clubs developing and coming through. Great seasons for the likes of Fulham and Bournemouth this year as well. So I do think that if you can get it right and get off to a good start in the Premier League, you can give yourself a chance.
Thanks, Ian. We'll go to Paddy at The Athletic.
Hi, Paddy.
Hi, David. Is Dwight ready to start now, do you think?
No, I don't think so, no.
And in terms of Illiman, you've mainly used him off the left so far. Is that just feel that's his best position, or could he play elsewhere?
Well, I think partly because Doucouré's played well, and as a team player, he's probably been very good for us in his effort and his running and what he's offering. Might be that we got opportunities to see Illy in a different position, maybe more towards pre-season. Might get a chance before the end of the season as well. But at the moment, we're so short of wide players. Illy's one of the only people who can play wide for us.
Thanks, Paddy. Any further questions in the open section before we move on? No? Okay, thanks.